Angela, it's interesting to talk to Iranians who crossed the border and left Iran safely to enter here in Armenia. Even so, many are still very afraid of their own government. They hesitate to speak. In front of the cameras, a man told us off camera what the main goal of his government in Iran is. He said that they want to hold on to power at any cost. If the American Air Force and the Israeli Air Force come to kill them, they will sacrifice all the people and all the resources of Iran to stay in power. Another difficult question we asked the people who were fleeing and crossed over here, many with just suitcases: how do you feel about Zua and Israel attacking your country now? This was the answer from a man. The Zebaniwa Air Force and Israel's Air Force came to kill our enemy, but at the same time, they attacked our oil facilities. We don't want that. We just want to get rid of the Islamic Republicans. These are not our own resources. So attack the government, not the infrastructure, and this man is calling the government his personal enemy. I give the floor to you.
Wait a moment. I want to talk more about Operation Epic Fury, or rather, Operation Roaring Lion. If you are in Israel, this is a statement from the office of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, which says, "People of Iran, we are waging a historic war for freedom. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for you to overthrow the Ayatollah's regime and win your freedom. Together with the United States, we are hitting the tyrants of Tehran harder than ever before." Again, this is a post from the Prime Minister's office. I want to put this on your screen. That is, over Beirut in Lebanon, while Israel continues to conduct these operations not just in Tehran, against the IRGC and the current regime, but also against Hezbollah, the terrorist group in Beirut. Smoke rising as this operation continues. Now, I would like to invite the Israeli government spokesperson, Shosh Bedrosian, to talk a bit more about the situation on the ground. Shosh, as always, thank you very much for being here with us. Thank you today.
Thank you for having me, Josh.
First of all, I just wanted you to give us an overview of the operation. We know it started 12 days ago and that it is still ongoing. So what is the current situation in Tehran as well as in Beirut?
Certainly. So, it's been 12 days, as you said, since Operation Roaring Lion was launched, and we've seen incredible success, and many of our goals have been achieved so far. We are attacking Tehran, we are attacking the Islamic Republic of Iran with more force than ever before. That's because we have the help of our amazing ally, the United States of America, and their security forces. But what's happening right now is that we are targeting command centers in the heart of Tehran. And the Islamic Republic of Iran is also hiding its weapons among civilian infrastructure. We see this same pattern as well. In Hezbollah, in the center of Beirut, we see strategic weapons of this terrorist group, which acts as Iran's proxy, hidden among the civilian population. Some might say like father, like son, because Iran, the regime there, is the head of the snake. And one of the proxy groups they fund to destroy the state of Israel is Hezbollah. We have Hamas and the Houthis, so we keep putting pressure on the regime. They were stunned and disoriented, and we can see this clearly, as there are already cracks within the regime.
Going a little deeper into this, I've asked you this question several times in the past, but for people who may not have gathered all the details, explain Hezbollah and Iran and the connection between them as a proxy group.
Certainly, so we have the head of the snake, which is the Islamic Republic of Iran, and instead of directing the billions of dollars they have to their own people, they decided to oppress them. They took that money, billions of dollars, and directed it to proxy representatives linked to terrorism. Hezbollah is their main and largest proxy. It is funded, trained, and receives financial support from the Islamic Republic of Iran. We also have Hamas to the south, in Gaza, and the Houthis in Yemen. You might wonder why there are so many proxy terrorist groups around the state of Israel. Well, that's not a coincidence. It's Iran's way of suffocating and infiltrating, of strangling the state of Israel, so that we are surrounded by terror on all sides, with a single goal: to annihilate our people and the only Jewish state on the planet. And we must cut off the serpent's head. That's exactly what Operation Roaring Lion is working on right now, and we've already seen huge advances so far to eliminate this threat. The immediate threat that the Islamic regime, the regime of the Ayatollahs, represents is their nuclear capabilities, as well as their ballistic missile capabilities, which they continue to fire at us daily, often several times a day, at this point in the operation. We need to remove that so the Iranian people can handle the situation themselves, as the Prime Minister just stated.
We've already talked a lot about the situation and about the kind of threat that Iran and Hezbollah, these groups, pose to the Israelis and to the people in Israel. But I wanted to know your opinion. What danger, what problem does this really represent from Iran to America to Americans here in the
In Sewa, of course, Josh. Well, that's an extremely important question. What Americans need to understand is that the Iranian regime has not only threatened Israel, it has a long history of actually attacking Americans directly. This goes back to the Iran hostage crisis. After that, the first supreme leader, Khamenei, came to power. Terrorists took over the Sinai embassy in Tehran and held about 52 Americans hostage for 444 days. The Americans were the first hostages of the Ayatollah's regime, and the Israelis were the last on October 7th. Since then, Iran and the terrorist groups it funds as its proxies have killed Americans multiple times. In 1983 alone, a truck bomb from Hezbollah, backed by Iran, hit the Marine barracks in Beirut. They killed more than 240 American service members. It was one of the deadliest terrorist attacks against Americans before September 11th. And more recently, Josh, representatives of Iran's terror killed hundreds of Zilamira soldiers in Iraq. And terrorist organizations backed by Iran have killed American civilians in locations throughout the region. Here, as I mentioned, on October 7th, Hamas, another representative funded and supported by Iran, killed dozens of Americans. They also kidnapped others during that massacre. Israel. So when people ask what the threat to Americans is, the answer is simple, Josh. The Iranian regime has been targeting Americans for decades. It's the same ideology that calls for the destruction of the state of Israel and the United States. Remember, they call us the little Satan, and America is the great Satan. Now, that's a threat, not a theory. Americans have already paid a very, very high price because of the Iranian regime.
My last question before I let you go, what possible misinformation or disinformation is circulating about the current operation or about Israel in general that you would like to clarify? To make sure that people watching now, whether in Ziwa, in Israel, or anywhere else, understand clearly?
Certainly. The state of Israel will not allow an Ayatollah regime to exist in Iran. The people have been oppressed by this regime for 47 years. The Prime Minister spoke to the Iranian people and made it very clear that the opportunity, the moment of truth, is coming. They need to seize it, and it depends on them. It's up to them to take advantage of it. When this becomes available, we will create these conditions so that the Iranian people can reclaim their destiny and finally have control over their own future. Prime Minister Netanyahu states that we will remove this existential threat from the Ayatollah's regime. And when we do that, it could usher in an era of peace that we've never seen before in the Middle East. Remember that the Ayatollah's regime has been working to destabilize the Middle East for decades. At this moment, the time has come for our people, Americans, Europeans, and everyone throughout the region to finally be able to live in peace. And they don't have to worry about their lives being threatened by a completely insane regime that wants to annihilate us.
Shosh Bedrosian, spokesperson for the Israeli government, thank you for coming here to talk about all of this. Is there anything you would like to add or that we might have missed before we let you go?
I would just like to thank you for the opportunity. I would just like to talk about the incredible alliance between the United States and the State of Israel at this moment. We have never seen cooperation and collaboration between our two countries the way we are seeing now. We are, without a doubt, facing evil. This is an operation between good and evil, and President Trump has recognized that. Prime Minister Netanyahu has been saying this for years. And finally, President Trump is aligned because he understands the threat that the Ayatollah's regime represents for us and for the American people. As I just mentioned, there is a history of the Iranian regime taking Americans hostage in 1979 at the embassy in Tehran for 444 days. The last people they took hostage were Israelis on October 7th through their terrorist proxy, Hamas. We are fighting together. And one of the Prime Minister's advisors said this week that President Trump and the Prime Minister are the greatest duo of all time. For what we've managed to accomplish together so far in this operation. Incredible, Josh.
And we know that they, of course, have had several meetings here since President Trump began his second term. Josh, thank you for taking the time to join us and help discuss this. We appreciate it.
Thank you.